So tell us about the small businesses. We don't hear about those breaches.
And, I think those are something that really affects us just as much as things like Target did. This is something that is really proving to be a huge problem. And for example, it's being looked at by a lot of the different authorities and stuff. In fact, California Attorney General Harris came out yesterday with a statement on this. In the last 2 years, in small business, there's been over 300 breaches with over 22 million accounts stolen. And the problem is just going to get worse before it gets better.
Now, do small businesses do a good enough job of letting their customers know when they've had security breaches?
Well, in the past, it's been somewhat subjective as to what's disclosed and what isn't. They're getting a little bit more specific on the regulations for that. But as far as getting the word out there and getting the information out there, it's really been about 50-50 over the last 2 years.
Of course, what has been the cut for big business? I mean, that sounds pretty iffy as well.
Absolutely. And, it's about customer service and doing the right thing by your customers. But at the end of the day, I think a lot of people look at this really wanting to be careful because a data breach can really affect the reputation of your business.
Sure thing. And Target, I mean, I think that they gave customers 10% discounts or something like that during the holidays. A small company just can't absorb this kind of thing.
No. And there's different kinds of insurances and that type of thing that can be had to help out with cleaning up the mess that's created by a data breach. But really, at the end of the day, the one big question that comes up, whether you're Target or a small business or something in between, is the damage to your reputation. And that can take years, if even ever, you can really clean it up.
Sure. Now, we just assume that big businesses have bigger, safer systems, but are small businesses really more vulnerable?
I think there's a lot more targeting of big business going on just because there's more information available. But the small business scenario does require the business themselves being very aware of what's going on. And one of the key things that should be done, and it needs to be done, is an audit. So whether you're Target or a much smaller company, you want to make sure that your data is actually safe and what you're doing is the right thing. And there are procedures known as best practices to be able to do that. But another big thing about it, too, is looking at the cost and other related materials like that to figure out what the best way is to go. And with the economy where it's been and that type of thing in the last few years, there's been a lot of cutbacks, and this is an area, IT is not an exception.
Now, when these guys steal this information, do all the credit cards get used or just some?
It depends on how much they've actually gotten access to. So in a case like Target, what was really bad about that breach is it wasn't just credit card numbers. It was also, it's turned out to be PIN codes and addresses and all kinds of personal information. And a full credit card number with all of the related stuff that goes along with it, like the address, can actually get $20 or more on the black market. So what ends up happening is they're going to use the most that they can actually get a hold of and actually make sense of and be able to resell in that way.
It's pretty amazing, too. I got a call from my credit card company because they're on it most of the time. And in 1 hour, there were so many charges attempted from all over the country. I mean, that's obviously suspicious.
Yeah, absolutely. If you get a charge from some city that you're not in, even if it's one you'd like to be in, but you're not there, it probably means that someone's gotten a hold of the information. And when that happens, you want to get a hold of your financial institution right away. They'll stop the card and in most cases be able to work with you to either get your money back or not be responsible for that charge. But you're absolutely right. Once a card number starts being used, they pretty much assume that someone's going to get on top of it very quickly. So it's going to be used a lot and very quickly before it gets shut down.